Thank you so much for joining me today. This is Niamh Smithers, Senior Executive Assistant at ESW and PA Life Star Award finalist for PA of the Year 2020. And she has kindly joined us today to answer some questions. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Hayley.
So starting with the first question, how did you become a Senior Executive Assistant?
When I thought about this, I was kind of like, oh, do I go through my CV and feel like I'm at an interview? But I decided that I wouldn't do it that way. And people can check me out on LinkedIn to understand where I came from. But I think to get to the level that I have as a senior executive assistant, it was around like, it's hard work. Like you don't just fall into it overnight. I fell into the kind of executive assistant role overnight, kind of just fell into it. But I think to get to the next stages within being an executive assistant or senior executive assistant it's hard work. It's belief in yourself. It's taking those knocks and learning from them and then growing from them and how you can improve for the next role and stuff like that. I've had some highs and some lows in my role, and I think it's from them that you learn then how do you want to do something different, better the next time? What type of job do you want the next time where you can go, I want to get more exposure to do different things, or I want to focus more on different areas. And it's true that by working in communication with the executive you work with or you're going to work with, on what you want to get out of the role, what they want to get out of you from the role as well to develop yourself and work through all that as well from it. So I think there's those things, it's having that kind of opportunity with the executive you work with and the people you don't work with at the moment, and exposing yourself to those people and showing your capabilities and what you can do and how you develop them as well, and kind of having a checklist where you want to go, what you want to do and stuff like that. And I think that's what's helped me get there. It's having those opportunities, having good people surround me that help me develop myself, build my skill set and work towards getting to the senior executive role, which it took time. Like I'm probably 14 years doing this role. And I think when it gets to that level, it's a sense of achievement that you've gotten there, and you've seen that by the experience you've had and working with the different types of executives. You have to adapt your skills to them as well. And I think being adaptable and flexible as well helps that through that role. So to get there, that's how it happened for me on it, and just having those little stepping stones and being exposed to different things and developing from them.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you so much. Can you tell me more about your current responsibilities?
So currently I'm working for ESW, which is eShop World. We rebranded there last year. I'm with the company, it'll be 3 years in May. I took the job when I had stepped out of a different role, had some time off, and I didn't want it just to be a job. I wanted to be the right career step for me. So coming into the role, it was a case of what do I do, how do I do things, and being one of the executive assistants within the company, there's two of us. It was like, how do I develop myself and get an understanding of the business? So we re-looked at my role there actually last year and kind of structured it a bit better than what I do. So I have 3 different roles. One is the senior executive assistant, and that role is supporting primarily the chief operating officer. But then there's the other executives within the team. So I work very closely with the CFO and work with the other executives, kind of like touching off some admin, that type of thing. But when I'm working with the chief operating officer, it's kind of a case of it is strategy stuff. It's working on the board. It's working with them on coordinating them in connecting everything together. It's making sure the schedules are run closely. So it's having access to everyone's schedules and managing how all the diaries match. I call it Tetris because it's like moving the blocks around that are all color coded. Loads of people will hear me say that before. And it's just been that glue between the COO and the rest of the company and the executive team, and gluing everyone together and connecting all the dots. And it's working with them relating to creating new things. So we created a new KPI reporting, working on different projects and attending meetings. I find attending the meetings, you can take away the actions and deal with them in advance and just gives you good exposure to the company. So I kind of have a helicopter view of the whole company. So if something's happening in products and tech, that might impact something that's happening in finance or logistics, and be able to go, oh, someone else was talking about that, and joining that up in that sense. So that's good exposure on that side of it. Then I have the workplace management. When I say workplace management, it's around the facilities, kind of the look and feel of the business, how people come to work, not at the current time, obviously, but when we are in the office and when we do go back to the office, it's just making sure people have that environment that they can work in. And around COVID-19, we did a lot of structuring in our business around signage, around visibility of where they stand in a meeting room, how to keep the distance from each other, having the proper protocols in place that were given out by the government, the Irish government. And it's just making sure then in relation to like how customers see us. So if customers come to visit us when they did back before this all happened, it was just making sure they felt at home, that they had what they needed as well for it. And then it's around making sure our offices all feel the same. So like we opened a new office in Uri and just making sure it has the same fit out and feel as the Dublin office is our head office. We're opening an office in Singapore, and I was working with the individual in Singapore around how does that office look? Do you have the right signage, the right color tiles on the floor, the right artwork that we use? Our team in our office is street art. So it's street art from around the world that we use on it. And it's just having those little things and just working with them on that type of side of things. But it's also around working with like procurement on the setup of different things and how things work. Are we getting the best out of our suppliers and stuff like that? The other element then is internal communications. So that's me being responsible for the company in working with the stakeholders, whether it's HR, it's risk, it's finance, it's our IT department, around how we communicate, making sure it's simple, easy to read, it's got our branding, it's all structured properly, and it doesn't all go out in one go. So we schedule it properly around things and how we're going to do things. So like you don't have all communications happen on a Monday and then everything quiet for the rest of the week, that you spread it out so people can get to read the communications and understand what's going on and things are happening, and that key communications are delivered on a specific day and people are aware of it. And it's kind of the only communication that goes out that day. And it's around company events when we did them as well. And we do them every 6 weeks. We do a business update. We call it Unplugged. And that just gives the business time to talk about what we're doing, like from the HR, from the sales, spotlighting different areas. And it gives time for the CEO, then the business, to be able to give us a business update. And that works really well, and especially in the current climate, to be able to do that with people and give them an update on where we are every 6 weeks and what's progressed, what hasn't, what we're trying to achieve for the year on that. And it just works well and people get to see it. Obviously, everyone's virtual now, where before we would have had some pizza and beer after. And hopefully we'll get back to that stage of having some pizza and beer for everyone and being in each other's company again. And we just recognise people on the calls. We have kudos. So people get called out for doing something in the past 6 weeks that they went above and beyond for a client or helped out a team member and stuff like that. So it's good. It's interesting. It's a busy role. It definitely keeps me grounded and structured, and you're trying to juggle a lot of balls in the air. It's like the swan. I suppose everyone used the analogy of the swan, all calm above or flapping underneath it. But look, I enjoy it, and I think coming into 3 years now, I've seen a lot of change that I've been able to implement working with the chief operating officer and with the executives as well. So it's good. It's an enjoyable role and busy.
Wow, it sounds really diverse.
Yeah, that's a good thing about it, is diverse. So like I'm not just focused on just what I do as a senior exec assistant, I'm getting to see other elements. And workplace management, I would have done a small bit on it. I'm doing a lot more of it now. Internal comms, I've done it previously as a role, but being able to bring those different elements together is definitely, it's very diverse, but it's good fun.
And I bet it's so vital at the moment, the communication with everyone being at home.
Yeah, it is. And it's getting that communication out to people and making sure they feel they can communicate backwards as well. So it's not just a one-way system on that side as well, that we do get out there and having the different varieties of it, whether it's an email or a recorded video, or it's having people join a virtual meeting that we do or Unplugged. I think it's important to have that variety as well, because everyone likes different variety of different things. So you're not just focused on the one thing, just email. You're going out and doing a little bit of changing a few things around and do things a little bit differently.
Yeah, I can imagine everyone working from home needs that at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I need it. So, like having the variety of it, definitely.
And then that actually leads me on to my next question. So how have the lockdowns changed personal development?
I think for me personally, it's actually gave me time to step away from my role and to actually look at it better. And that's why it came into more structured in the 3 roles that I do. But I think you get that little bit of downtime to assess where you are. Or you should take that time to assess where you are, because I think for the roles of like executive assistant, president assistant, just some elements have been taken away, like expenses or travel that probably would have taken up a majority of your time, now doesn't. So what you do with that additional space and time that you have, and that could be upskilling yourself on what you're doing. It's like I found that with personal development over the last year anyway, that people have been able to, there's a lot more online, and free as well. So there's different options of free events would be more vital there as well. But you could join things where normally it would be during lunch and you couldn't make it, or it would be like the end of an evening where, like for me to go into the city centre, it would have just took forever to get there, a lot of commuting time, where you can log off, get something to eat, and then drive back on again to a virtual event on it, and that kind of thing. I think with the other side of it as well is that different companies like PA Life obviously have the courses, you have the membership as well, which is great. The Executive PA Forum we have in Ireland run it every year, and they did an online virtual event for us this year, and it was great because you got to meet other people as well. But everything was virtual. Although you probably think a full day of virtual, I couldn't do it. It was actually really engaging. They made it really engaging, and it just made things so much better that you're able to engage with people. And I found that I got to talk to more people, probably than I wouldn't have if I was at the main event either, because you probably would have stuck to your same table or bumped into someone very quickly on different things. So it just gives me opportunity then to look at what kind of, who am I working with? So like, who do I network with? So I found that with the whole lockdown and personal development, I was able to join other kind of memberships and stuff like that. Like I'm with the APIA in Ireland, and they were doing like Tuesday night chats is what we do, and it's just a half an hour quick jump in, have a little chat, see how you're getting on, and check back in again, and it's really cool. And then just sharing a bit more. And then obviously I joined the sister room with Jess as well, and that's just expanding your network and just seeing what are other people doing, what are they up to in their companies, what are they doing as an executive assistant. I think the role of an executive assistant, personal assistant, any kind of it can be a lonely role, to the extent that like you're not really part of a team. Like there's myself and one other person that I work with, but like it can be isolating because just teams that would have their team meetings and stuff. But when you're working with the executive team, like you're not having a team meeting with them, like a little powwow every morning with them. You know what I mean? You're only probably seeing them all together once a month when we have a monthly meeting, or ad hoc you see a few of them together, but not sitting down having a cup of tea or coffee. So, and you can't really vent about them if you're giving it about them. So I think the option to have the option of working with other individuals that do the same role as you, because they'll get you. They understand your frustration of, your man wouldn't talk to me today, but list of things, how they're getting to speak to me. And it's just those type of things that you're able to go and have that network and support around you. And I think having those membership with the PA Life, with APIA, or with the system, it makes it so much easier for everyone on it. And it gives you time to reflect. I found it gave me time to reflect on my skill set and just seeing where am I at, where do I need to go. And that means either joining new membership bases, means being more visible online, joining the free courses that are out there, and reading. I'm a really bad reader, and we'll come on to that from my dyslexia, that I'm actually reading more books now. And there's so many books out there that, like, from different executive assistant point of view and stuff like that, that it makes things so much easier for you. But I just think it's so important now, because when you have that downtime, not doing expenses and travel, how do you make yourself more skilled for the next stage? And that will bring you on, experience you in, like, how do you adapt so quickly? You have that little bit of downtime. What are you going to use that downtime to do? Is it going to be like, okay, I need to do more reporting, I want to read the emails more? You're taking more time out to do things at a better quality as well. You're not rushing as always as you used to. But I just think in this day and age as well, it's very important to definitely look at your personal development and not forget about it, because it can easily be forgotten about. And I think it'll give you a self-satisfaction as well, that when you achieve something or when you engage with someone else through a membership and stuff like that, it just makes you feel a little bit, oh yeah, feel good about myself as well, and having that support network around you as well.
Yeah, I think just achieving something a bit different at the moment is really rewarding, because you can sometimes feel like you're doing the same kind of thing every day, especially like weekends you can't go out at the moment. So if you've got something to go, oh, well, this weekend I actually read this amazing book about someone in a similar role, it's just really rewarding, I assume.
Yeah. Oh no, definitely. And like, and be able to share that back with other individuals through a forum group or through LinkedIn groups, I think that gives people going, oh, maybe I could do that. Because I know like when we do our Tuesday night chats, it's like, oh, who was out walking? And I was getting really bad at not doing my walking, and then just talking to other people, and they're like, oh, I'm out walking. I was, oh, I feel bad now. And I was like, I want to get back out there. I'm going to start walking again. And I did, and I got back out there, and it was nice to come back on the call. And then after that, going, yeah, went for 4 walks last week, feeling better. Probably do an extra one this week and stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely, it's feeling that encouragement, but knowing that I think it's always good to get recommendations for things, whether it's something on Netflix or a book to read and that kind of thing. I think it helps you as well. I find reading is really good now for just learning different things and just being on, just joining. I think putting yourself out there to join different types of membership or networks. It's not really kind of getting against you, but it's just putting yourself out there to kind of just mingle a little bit more and having that little bit more confidence in yourself, which you could probably start to lack now because you're not having that daily engagement with people.
Yeah, definitely. I know what you mean about the just communication with everyone. Like I've attended a few virtual events last week, and just I felt so positive after them. It was like, wow, just you miss that social aspect, and it really makes you feel like you've done something different that week.
Yeah, completely, definitely. So yeah, no, I think definitely get out there and start doing something and just learn something new and just seeing where you go to with it. And like it doesn't even have to be work related, it could be personal as well. Just going out there and doing it yourself. Like if it's learning how to knit or something, I don't know, that type of thing. But just doing something or learning a new trade, like doing DIY yourself or painting or something. I think it's definitely good if it gives you that little bit of break from being on social media or being stuck in front of a screen all day long as well. Just knowing you have that little thing just for yourself is an important thing, I think, definitely.
Yes, definitely. I think that's really good advice for everyone.
Yeah, definitely.
You mentioned earlier and in your awards application about having dyslexia.
Yeah.
Do you mind talking a bit more about having dyslexia and how you found out about it?
Yeah, that's no problem. I actually only officially got diagnosed as a cancer or something like that. It was I only got officially assessed when I was 35. For having dyslexia, and so I probably lived my whole life through school all the way up not knowing that I had it. But I knew I had it, if that makes sense. There were certain elements of it that was seen, but was never officially assessed first. For me, like in primary school, I was just seen as someone that was a slow learner. I had to get grinds to help me with my maths and English. I had to get speech therapy as well when I was younger because I couldn't pronounce words correctly. And that's down to the phonetics of things that I'm not very good at phonetics of things, and that came out of the assessment that I got. In secondary school, they used to grade our classes A, B, and C, and A being the high achievers, and C being the ones that weren't achieving, and I was put into a C class. And that's hard because, like, I'm a twin, and my twin was put into an A class, and I'm in the C class, and you're kind of like going, well, what's the difference between the two of us? And they kind of spun it out to separate you and stuff. And I said, well, okay, whatever. But it was just seen as that class wasn't able to do what everyone else was doing. And I struggled with it. Like I struggle with languages. I was put into doing French and even Irish or Gaelic as we know it as. I struggle with that, the phonetics of it. Spelling, I'm really bad at spelling, and reading as well is a struggle for me on that side of it. That when you're in school and you're trying to work hard and try to achieve things, but like your teachers don't understand why you're not learning quick enough. And they obviously didn't understand dyslexia at that time, and I didn't even know I had it. And I think back then, and when you're in school, it wasn't known. It's just seen as someone that was a slow learner for me. But I did have an English teacher, Miss Murphy, who noticed that I wasn't very good at spelling. Didn't know to the extent that it was dyslexia, but caught that I wasn't very good at spelling. So I used to do lunchtime classes with her on English.
Oh.
And then when it came to the state exams, she got an exemption for me that spelling wasn't going to be deduct me on points, which really helped on that side, where I had other teachers that were telling me that I wasn't good enough to do a pass maths. I had to do the basic foundation, it was called. But like foundation maths wasn't going to help me get into a job and stuff because it wouldn't have been seen as a proper pass or anything like that, or that I had done a proper course in maths. So it was hard. And I think for my whole career then, and going through school, I didn't do college. Never felt I was good enough, I suppose, to do college, that I didn't have the mind, the brains, or anything to do, because you've gone through school and this is what happened. They just didn't see you as being available or academic enough to do college. And so when you're filling out the form, I didn't bother filling out forms called the CEO form in Ireland. I didn't bother, didn't know what I wanted to do. My parents were like, what are you going to do? And I was like, I have no idea. But it was actually my last executive in Ulster Bank. It was Chris Davis. We had spoken about it, and he was like, would you not just go and do the assessment? And I was like, oh, I don't know, come this far, like, why would I bother there at this stage? And he goes, well, like, it's just for your own confidence, because like it would hit me, it would impact me in some ways. And I was like, yeah, actually maybe I will. So he supported me through the company to go get it an assessment, and it's expensive to get the assessment done. And in doing it, then I then have that piece of paper, and it's kind of like this invisible cloak that I have that kind of like, it protects me in a way that, like, if someone comes at me and maybe go, well, no, I actually am dyslexic, and it's an official thing that I have. But for me, I was reading the report the other day. I had to use it for something else that I was doing, and I kind of read it and kind of made me bring back the emotions of, God, this is confidence with it, and I'm able to tell people that I'm dyslexic now because I have that little piece of paper on it. So and that's good in that sense, that I do have that piece of paper now to be able to say it. And like, I thank Chris for pushing me to go and get the assessment done, because then I'm able to say, like, if I'm going for job interviews and stuff or doing stuff with people, I'm going to say, well, actually I'm dyslexic, but here's the document if you need it to prove that I am. In that sense. But yeah, it kind of gives you, it shouldn't have to wait that long until I was 35 to do it. It should have been picked up in school. And I think it's a little bit more active out there now. I think when I went to school, it wasn't. But I think definitely now it is, and people are more aware of it. But I still think there's that stigma around it's a disability. And I don't like that word disability with it, because I don't believe it's a disability at all, but that's how they see it when it's called out, seen as a disability. But I don't believe it is. It's not. For me, it's kind of something that it's a gift, I suppose, in some ways, because it makes you use other strengths that you probably have, and everyone works different in that type of way. So yeah,
it's part of what makes you unique as well. You may see things a different way, like you said.
Yeah, no, and it's not now. I think my whole experience of it, like when I was younger, you feel kind of stupid because you're meant to feel that way, and you're kind of embarrassed, and it kind of knocks your confidence as well. And then you just wanting to get on with your life and just trying to, but you're kind of knocked from it. And then as I got older, I think I was hiding it. So like, I didn't tell people that I really struggle with spelling or with hearing things phonetically wise. I just found workarounds. And like, even today, I still, like, emails could probably, where it could take someone 5 minutes to write it, it might take me 10 minutes to write it, and then I'll rewrite it again. And that could be another 20 minutes, because I want to make sure I'm getting across what I'm saying right, that the spelling is correct in it, and I'm using the right words. Some words are the exact same words, and there is struggle that you might spell it one way, but it might mean something different. Yeah. So it's just using that, like, and it's just finding different techniques to get around it. And I think for me, I never spoke about it, I never said it, and people would cop it. Like, I had one of my executives, Richard Dunn, and we were doing numbers, and it just couldn't. Just wasn't working. It's just not matching. I was like, I don't know why I was getting so frustrated by it. And he just pulled me aside, and we sat down and we worked it out. And he just turned to me and he goes, "Are you dyslexic?" And I was like, "Do I tell him yes or no?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I am." And he goes, "I could tell." I flipped numbers, so it could be 6-9, and I go 9-6. And he goes, "Oh," he goes, "You flipped the number." And I'm like, "Oh, that's why." But like, it was frustrating for me because I couldn't see it, because to me it was right. And I think when you're dyslexic, you miss words. So I could write a sentence but miss out a word, but in my head I can see it. So like, when I send a text message, it could be someone reading it going, "What is she talking about?" Like, and I'm like, I'm going, "No, I said that." And I'm like, "Oh, I missed a word." So it makes no sense. And they've taken it up completely wrong. On it. So flipping numbers, and spelling as well, it's a big thing. Like, so like, when you're taking minutes in meetings, I may struggle with that sometimes. I may struggle to keep my attention going. Memory, I write down everything. Memory is a really bad thing as well for me. That it's not a bad thing. Like, I'm not like, God, I can't remember like my name or anything like that. It's just, I need to write down things. If I'm asked to do something, I write it down and make sure I've done it and cross it out on that side of it. That you just find different techniques to get through it. That when it did come to the stage of me actually going to get the assessment done, I remember sending out an email to the guys that reported into my executive, and I was like, just looking for some examples, and they all came back going, "What are you talking about?" Niamh, I don't see anything. Like, they're like, "You're dyslexic? What are you talking about? We don't." Like, they're like, there's people that send out their emails and the spelling is all wrong. They're like, "Your emails are always impeccable," and stuff like that. And I was just like, oh, because I hidden it so well, people never knew I had it. And I think now that I have it on that piece of paper, I talk about it more and I tell people more about it. And it's only come out in the last few years that I've kind of been more confident about it. And in doing that, I'm not afraid to tell people that I am dyslexic. I try to educate people a bit more about it. And like, there's always a dyslexic awareness week in October. And for that week, I posted a lot of stuff so people knew what was going on, because everyone has different levels of it. I'm probably mid. I wouldn't be to the extreme and I wouldn't be low, but I'm probably middle ground on it. But I don't let it impact me. I got to the stage that I used to not tell my employers because I didn't want it to be seen as a hinder to me. And people going, "Oh, she's dyslexic, she wouldn't be able to do this job." Because I didn't want that to be something that would stop me from getting where I wanted to get to. And I think some people have that kind of mindset. They do see it as a disability and they don't want to have to deal with that. And I think that's harsh on some people when they're probably excellent in other things, like we're great problem solvers and stuff like that. That I think you have to give people an opportunity. And I think people hide it more because they don't want that judgment against them, where I would have found that sometimes that people may have gone, "Oh, wouldn't give that to me. She's dyslexic, she wouldn't be able to do it." But people give me stuff actually. Like if I copy read stuff for people, I pick out on things like, oh, because I'm more aware of it for myself, it makes me more aware of it for other people. So I reread things for people and pick out things like a space. I'm gonna pick out a space. I'm quite so picky. I get spaces that are missing on or double wording, or if you're using the same word in the same sentence over and over again, stuff like that. From that side. But yeah, I think now definitely more confident talking about it. It's easier to talk about, where before it probably would have been like, I don't want to talk about it, don't really want people knowing. But I think it has to get out there and people need to be more aware of it, because I think more and more people have it. You just don't know they have it either. It's the other thing.
Definitely. And I think your techniques are brilliant and they're things that everyone should be doing. I know I'm the same as you. I'll write an email and then I would check it before sending it, just in case you do have a typo. It's so easily done. So it's
so
good
easy
to have. And writing down all your notes as well. I know if I attend a meeting, I'm always writing down notes too, and then I can satisfyingly cross them off when they're accomplished, because you might just forget something.
Yeah, definitely. I think like it's just simple things like that. Like even when you're sending an email on, like there's that special, like you just tick that box that you can't send anything without it actually doing a spell check. And like I have that on all my emails, that nothing goes out without a spell check being done on it. And that's just who I am. But like if I am sending an email to a wider audience, sometimes I get someone to read over for me, just so that I'm getting the right message across. And if I'm not being clear, I'll ask someone. Was I not clear enough, and how do I improve that for next time? I'm constantly looking to see how can I improve it for next time. From that side, because I think there is elements of it. But yeah, there's basic stuff that everyone should be doing, like that spell check on it and that type of thing. But I just think for me, it's just one of those things that I'm more conscious of it, just because of my dyslexia. So just more conscious awareness of it, I suppose, as well. So yeah.
And you said you promote dyslexia, especially in October when it's the awareness time. And what advice would you give to others with dyslexia?
I think for others is to speak about it more and to be more aware of it. Like if you think you have it, then go get assessed. You may have a mild dose of it, you just don't know about it, or you may have a medium kind of level, which I'm at, which I think I'm at from reading the reports. The report's quite complicated, but it gets to the end of it and it gives you like options as well then of what different things you can do to help yourself and get employers to help you. I think it's making people more aware of where you're coming from, like, and how best you can work. Like I don't do with people shouting at orders at me. I'd be like, no, can we just step back? What was that you're looking for? Or like, reaming off loads of things in one go. I'm like, no, I'm totally losing all this now. So it's too much in one go. That I'm like, okay, let's start from the beginning. What did you need? Let's start from there. For me, like, nobody's perfect. Like, nobody, whether you're dyslexic or not dyslexic, no one's perfect. So it's just remembering that as well. But it's finding ways that work best for you. So is it the spell checking? Is it that you need to read something? I'm a slow reader and I'm trying to get back into reading more. So like every evening I make sure I read a chapter of a book. And I think it's just, I used to take papers away if I was going to meetings, take the papers away and I'd print them out and I'd read them, whether it was on the bus on the way home or get in early the next morning into the office and read them. Because then that just helped me then go, okay, I know what people are talking about in the meeting. So if I'm taking the minutes, I understand the reports. If there was something I was unclear about, I either get the person before the meeting or I just speak to them after. And it's just different things like that as well. And it's just educating people on how best you work and then how it will work for both people. How do they work? How do you work? And that's just basic standards in general from that side of it. For me, then it's kind of like for people out there, I think definitely talking about it, get the assessment done and be proud. Be proud of being dyslexic. There's a campaign in UK and it's called #MadeByDyslexia. It's run by Richard Branson. And remember all these people that are dyslexic, like Richard Branson's dyslexic, Einstein was, Orlando Bloom is, Jennifer Aniston is. There's so many people that are dyslexic. Obviously different standards of it as well, but like it's no one, you're not alone. And there is a wider group out there. There is different organizations that help and support, and especially like if your child is dyslexic, it is inherited, like it's inherited through your family and stuff like that. So your child might be dyslexic and they may be struggling, but knowing that there is different associations out there that can help you and help your child for it, and just knowing that it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing because you're using different parts of your brains that are more better strength than other people, and then you might compliment the other person and they might compliment you as well on things. Like I did communications, I got a job in communications. Like, why would you give it to me? I was like, my spelling's really bad, I can barely read half the stuff and you want me to do communications. But I remember at the time when I spoke to my colleague at the time, Mike, he was like, I was like, why did you give me this job? And he said, look, we know you're dyslexic, he said, but he said at the end of the day, for us, you have great stakeholder management. You know a lot of people around the business, you'll be good at engaging with them, and that will help drive on the projects you're going to work on. And he was right, it did. So we complimented each other because he was really good at his writing. He's an excellent writer. That like if I wrote something, he would take it and then he'd refine it a little bit for me. So, and then if he was looking to get engagement with someone, like, oh, I know that person, I'll introduce you. And that's how it worked. And it was a good way of working. I think definitely tell people you are. And you'll be surprised. Like I was surprised by the reaction from people when I told them. They're like, what? No way, Niamh. I'm like, yeah, no, I am. That like people were just like, oh, I just never knew. Couldn't tell you where. Probably because I got so good at hiding it, but they didn't treat me any different. They actually kind of were more admired me a bit more for having been brave about going out and speaking about it and taking that on and dealing with it on a day-to-day basis. Like you're dealing with that day-to-day, that when something might be easy for someone to write an email, it could be 10 times harder for you to write the email. But at the end of the day, you're all going on the same road. You just might get there a little bit differently, but you always get to the same end goal. Just being that kind of, yeah, I'm dyslexic, but this is how I run it, this is how I work for it, and this is how I get around it, and this is how I'm great at what I do. And knowing that everyone's great at what they do, and just because you have dyslexia doesn't mean you're not better than anyone else. On it. So yeah, that's my advice. Be proud of it.
Oh, brilliant. That's really inspirational for anyone out there.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. I think that's all my questions today. And I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with me.
No problem. Thank you. I really appreciate you taking time with me. It was really enjoyable. Great that I get that message out there to people as well. So hopefully it brings some benefit to people and reassurance as well, I suppose.
Oh, definitely. It was brilliant. Thank you.